Welcome to the Diceshaker podcast. My name is Jordan Brown. I'm the host of the Diceshaker podcast. With me, as always, is the man behind the scenes, Tyler Hartley. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Jordan.
On today's episode, we are talking NBA playoffs, reacting to the first games of the first round, going through each series, giving takes, overall thoughts, funny things. And then we're going to get an NFL draft. It's NFL draft week, so we're going to talk a little draft, a little Titans talk, a little Cam Ward talk, kind of table set for you guys before we get to the draft. A lot of fun stuff, so enjoy the episode.
I bet my life I'm a dice shaker. Electric lights on a skyscraper.
NBA playoffs started. We've got 8 series going on. I don't know where to start.
We'll start with the fun one. I think honestly, the Clippers might be the funnest one.
Let's cross the 3 off. There's 3 series on the list. We're not like Oklahoma City, Memphis. We're not talking about that.
After 50 points.
Yeah, no thank you. No thank you. We're good there. No more of that, please. Cleveland, Miami. I'm also good. And then Boston and Orlando. I'm all
out on that.
I think we're all set there. Although Jason Tatum is not going to play tonight. I did see that. He has a wrist bruise.
Win in 5 maybe.
Yeah. Gentleman's sweep. So those are out. So we'll talk about the rest of the series. So what do you think is most? Where should we start?
I think starting with LA and Minnesota.
You want to start with Lakers?
Well,
Lakers, Wolves.
Well, they're starting hot too, but also Minnesota coming in and beating 23 points in the first game.
Beat their ass at home. Yeah. Interesting. So I don't think so they play tonight. So we're recording this on Tuesday, April 22nd.
Yeah.
So the Lakers and the Wolves will play tonight. It's currently 1-0 in that series. First game. I think people thought that was going to be a close kind of back and forth series. I don't know if the Lakers losing at home by 20 plus points in the first game was what's expected. But I will tell you who is 100% cheering for the Wolves, and that is the general manager of the Dallas Mavericks.
Sure, yeah.
If Luca gets stomped in the first round and looks bad, look, he's fat, he doesn't play defense, then he can maybe walk around being like, see, because right now it's not looking good for that dude.
Yeah, no, I don't think.
Did you see the press conference he did this week?
No, I've just seen so many reports on the score. It was like he's saying stuff. I was like, I'll get to that. But I know he's all over.
Just something about he's like I didn't know how much the Luca meant to the fan base, right? Just somebody asked him straight up, they're like, why should you not be fired? Make the case for you to not be fired. And so yeah, that guy's 100% rooting against Luca. I do think it's the more interesting outcome there is if the Lakers lose.
No, I don't think so.
You think it's more interesting?
I'm actually on board with if it was say the conspiracies are true and it is collusion by the league to get Lakers Celtics. I'm on board with that. That is such a more exciting series than seeing Celtics, which is most likely.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
I don't want to see Celtics Wolves really. I don't. I mean, Wolves are fun, but the Lakers Celtics is what I want to see. This is what I'm kind of gearing up for in the NBA Finals at this point,
right?
Because it is truly the Titans again. It's the Lakers and Celtics. Anthony Edwards, he's got so much longer in the league. I don't need that right now.
That's true. That from that is true. But that's why I kind of think it's a little more interesting if the Lakers lose, because then it's all right, nobody thought when that trade got made, everybody's like, all right, this makes the Lakers worse right now because they don't have any defense and then no big man and all that. But very clearly it's a move for now we have a 25-year-old superstar kind of thing, which is all well and good. But I don't think anybody's plan was get stomped in the first round. So if they lose, in 4 or 5, I think that is okay, that wasn't the fucking plan. Yeah. And then also, as is always my interest, is it now puts LeBron James in a tough spot where, first of all, it takes away the big ammo of LeBron never has any help. It's he had Luca and he lost in the first round. So that's great. I love slandering them with that. But it's also so what does he do? Right? Because he can get out of his contract at this offseason. He can opt out. But it doesn't really seem like there's anywhere for him really to go. Where's he going to go? Maybe back to Cleveland, maybe, but that's probably not going to happen. And so is then he just what's the plan here? Is he just, because it's very clear that the Lakers moving forward after this year are Luca's team, right? Regardless of what happens, they're Luca's team. So now is for the first time in his life, LeBron going to voluntarily sign up to be Robin to somebody's Batman because it is his best shot at chasing a title, or is he going to let his ego and his hubris and all that stuff that normally gets in the way get in the way again, and put himself in like a worse basketball situation because he can't possibly stomach this fat Slovenian dude showing up fucking drunk all the time, not playing any defense, but also he's the one you got to listen to now, so like where does that put LeBron is a very interesting thing to me.
This isn't a LeBron-esque thing. There could be a situation where he hasn't even planned this out. Like it really is like the plan was to get Luca and then to win a championship, and then he just stays in LA.
Right.
He could be at the end of the season like, fuck, I actually didn't plan for this. Like
he certainly didn't. He certainly didn't.
You know
right?
what I mean?
Like,
so it's like he might actually be in a situation where he is like, fuck, I don't know what I'm going to do right now.
That's what I'm saying.
And what does he bring? Does he bring his son with him? Like
right?
He's tied to him.
That's the whole point, right? And like, how long are we still going to play? There's another kid, you're waiting for the younger kid. Like, very, very interesting situation. But there's also not like a lot of destinations for him to go, right? Like, we're heading into an offseason where like it seems very clear that Kevin Durant's going to get traded. It seems somewhat likely, and we'll talk about that series in a minute, that Giannis is going to be causing a ruckus this offseason. Denver, and we'll see how it plays out with them, but very clearly they're in a state of transition with their roster. And so it seems like there's going to be like some big shakeups this offseason. And so where does a 41-year-old LeBron James fit? Like who does LeBron James have value to? At this point.
That's true, actually.
A lot of teams, because a lot of teams, like right through the Charlotte Hornets, you'd be like, well, we're going to sell a fuck ton of jerseys,
Yeah.
But like, he's not going there.
Yeah.
Right? So like the list of teams that like LeBron would be willing to play for, and the list of teams that have the possibility and like the willingness to get LeBron is like small. For sure. Right? The Knicks, right? Like maybe that. And so it's like, I think it would just be, it makes for a bit more interesting offseason if the Lakers lose. That being said, I think that series will go probably at least 6 games. Like I don't think the Lakers are just going to lay over and die.
I don't think so either. I mean, 6 games. It seems like after the first game, you're right. They do play kind of shitty defense because a lot of those shots at that, like Minnesota shots 50%, like 51%. They shot and they hit 21 threes. It's hard to see a team continue to do this, but the way they hit those shots, they were open. Like it's just open set threes all game.
Because I think the Lakers have to give them something, because it's like there's no NBA caliber big man on that team. So it's either you give up every 3-pointer, it's either you sell out to protect the rim and give up every 3-pointer, or it's a layup line.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. I don't think they have a ton of options there. I just think that like there will be a big Luca game. There will be a big LeBron game. There will be a game where Ant goes cold. I do think though, and if you want to juxtapose, people talk about like, the face of the league and who's that going to be, and that was a whole conversation with LeBron and stuff this year. Ant Edwards has like the perfect mentality for face of the league, because he shows, I fully trust and believe that he shows up to that arena every day being like, I have no idea why people don't think I'm the best player in this game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But he also, like, he's outspoken about it. He's like, I don't want to be like the face of the league.
No, but I think he wants to beat people's ass.
That's what I mean. He kind of has that Kobe in him.
Like again, I think it's very similar. Yeah. I think it's probably true for a lot of these dudes in the NBA. They look at this like fat Slovenian dude who fucking is drunk all the time, and they're like, yo, what are you guys talking about? He's the best player. Like look at me. Like look what I can do. And so I just appreciate how he truly wants to like put his foot in everybody's ass, which is that's an energy I can appreciate. But it's a tough one on the Wolves though, because it's juxtaposition of like, I don't want to see good things happen to Rudy Gobert.
That's also a good point.
I don't like
too.
that. I don't want to see any of that. So it's like, where do we fit in there? I think they're gonna have to find a way to kind of victimize him a little bit.
You like to move him too?
Yeah, maybe play like LeBron at the 5 and go like super super small and just be like, listen, Rudy, if your big ass is going to be out here, like you're going to be chasing dudes all over the perimeter. Let's see how awesome that is for.
We've seen it in the past too. Where, like,
Terrence Mann, Game 6, 2021, 39 points.
Yeah.
People forget.
Not a lot's happened for Terrence Mann since then. He's fine.
It's tough.
But
it's tough. Clipper legend forever though. Clipper legend forever. Might as well use that, I guess, as a transition point. We'll talk Clips a little bit here. So for anybody who doesn't know, I am a Clippers fan. It's been a tough life. Last night was, for both games, absolute wars. Clippers were up 15 in the first game, 20 turnovers, kind of pissed it away. Last night, they didn't play great, to be honest, except Kawhi was just on another planet.
It's kind of the whole game plan too, right? It's like keep Kawhi healthy, and there is a solid chance that you can make a run.
The Kawhi experience, like having Kawhi on your favorite team, rooting for Kawhi, is a very unique experience. It's not like anybody I've ever rooted for before, because on paper, if you look at it, The Clippers acquired Kawhi Leonard in 2019 with Paul George. In order to make that happen, they had to trade Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And if you just look on paper, outcomes of that trade on paper, Paul George is no longer on the team. He's in Philly, barely like a complete disaster contract. The best move the Clippers have made in the past 5 years is not giving Paul George the extension.
Yep.
And then, Shai, MVP, 68 wins, blah, 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 blah. Kawhi was great in the 2021 playoffs, got hurt in game 4 of the second round. Missed all of 2022. 2023, he played 1 game, got hurt, missed the rest of the playoffs. 2024, played 2 games, got hurt, missed the rest of the playoffs. So just looking at that, it's like, okay, disaster, awful, terrible trade, no doubt about it, clear winner, clear loser. And that's all correct. What that like on paper analysis misses is there have been games when Kawhi's been healthy in the playoffs where it is unlike anything I've ever seen before in terms of nobody plays like him. Like it is, like you saw last night. He was, I think, 9 of 10 in the first half from the field.
Yep.
And it's all just like old man, YMCA, back you down, pump fake, turn around, the flattest jump shot you've ever seen in your life, cash.
Yep. No fade on it either. Right? He just squares up on
straight up, yeah. And it's just he's such a weird guy to cheer for because he's not like any other superstar in terms of like just the how he doesn't really care about being a superstar. He's not a good like his interviews are terrible. He says nothing every time. No matter what question he's asked, he says nothing, and you never know what's going on in his mind. But last night, watching that game and cheering for Kawhi, it was like truly like cheering for a superhero. Yeah. Where I'm like, this man is not human, and he's here to save us. Mm-hmm. And I was like a little kid, be like, go Kawhi, go. And it was an unbelievable experience. Great fan experience to have. So it's been heartbreaking and soul crushing and an absolute disaster on one hand, and then on the other hand, it's one of the most fun fan experiences I've had in my life to cheer for this guy. So
that's what keeps you going to that little bit of hope here. Eh?
It makes me like all the stuff about Kawhi where people are like, oh, like he doesn't want to play, and he just sits out. I'm out on all that because he has so much money. He's done like he could just be done. He doesn't need to keep doing this. And so to fight back from these injuries and to play at the level that he is currently playing at, just because just to prove that he can do it, I'll never take that from that guy. So wherever this goes, like I said, it's 1-1 right now. I like where the Clippers are at in the series. I'm terrified to check my phone every single day because I'm worried about Chris Hayes tweeting something about Kawhi's knee swelling up again or something like that.
I know.
Because just truly, it's happened 3 straight years. Like it's bad. 2021, 2022 didn't play. 2023, 24. It's happened every time. So I don't know what's going to happen. But I just want to say that I hold nothing. I hold no grudges against Kawhi Leonard. I would do the trade again tomorrow if we had to do it.
Well, of course.
And everybody at the time would have made the trade too. So yeah, great there. Series make me definitely like I've always liked Jokic a lot. Just because again, so different, obviously so good, and like just his attitude of like fuck basketball. I want to
back to the farm,
right? Oh, that's all great. I have all the fun. He is infuriating to play against, but the flopping is insane.
Yeah, I mean,
it's out of control. This guy needs to go to prison. There was one last night where he flopped so hard, Harden like put his shoulder into him. He flopped so hard that Ben Simmons stood up on the bench and started laughing at him.
Yeah.
Ben Simmons of all people. Which, by the way, you want to talk about a funny thing? There's certain times in these 2 games where Ben Simmons and Russell Westbrook have been guarding each other, that's just very funny.
Yeah.
Because nobody gets within 10 feet of each other. It's awesome. It's so funny to see, like, because Ben Simmons is looking at Russ standing in the corner shooting a wild bit. They're like, yeah, I know what that's like, buddy.
Yeah.
And it just happens to him on the other end of the court.
Well, it's funny too because Westbrook still has that confidence, that dog, and
he hit a couple of shots, man.
He still will shoot it. It's just you don't know if it's hitting the back of the rim or like side of the backboard.
Well, and he was on the Clippers last year, which was a crazy experience, and that was just a very Clippers thing. Like you go through these mental battles as the playoff games roll on, and last night Clippers didn't started out playing very well. And I think Russ was like 2 of 4 from 3 in the first half. And I'm like, yeah, this is how it happens.
Yeah.
We just play like shit, and Russell Westbrook gets hot, and then we're the Clippers, so we lose. Like, it's just all these demons come up, and then, just absolute. The NBA playoffs are a war, man. It is.
It's a different product than the regular season. It's so good.
The way they officiated is so different.
Yeah.
And the pace is it's such a better product than what the regular season product is. But I also don't think that. Like, I don't think they could play this way for 82 games.
No,
like
that's the problem. It's too many games.
It's too physical. I do think they need to look at somehow doing something to slow down the pace of the games in the regular season to more be with the playoffs. Because that's what I find so interesting about the playoff games is the pace is so slow that it's truly like a possession by possession back and forth, and you see the different matchups and how they're playing different things. Obviously, you get the same matchups over and over again, so as the series goes on. But whereas an NBA regular season game, to me, is just like kind of a free-for-all.
A lot of transitions.
Guys, guys are playing all that stuff. So yeah, just a great product there. And yeah, I think Clips Nuggets is unfortunately like everybody's like, oh, what a sick series, what an awesome series. I don't want to hear that. When you're in the war, I don't want to hear about how entertaining it is to everybody else. Sure. I would like this to be 40-point blowouts.
That 3-point win, that's a heartache the whole time, man. Yeah, that sucks.
The point differential between the two games is 1 point.
Yeah.
Right? But I would say, oh, so entertaining, such a sick series. I would much rather be Oklahoma City fucking smoking teams by 50.
Yeah, of course.
Like, I would enjoy that way more than these heart attack games that they've been playing. So, I think great series there. I think what sucks about just the way they're situated is the reward for whatever team comes out of that series is you're gonna get to play a rested Oklahoma City.
Yeah,
that sucks.
OKC is a tough one too because we said kind of we're probably not going to touch on the Cleveland one too much, but they're the other team that was like really, really good in the regular season, but OKC is like deep too. Like they're actually a team that could make a good run in the play. They weren't just like a good regular season.
Oklahoma
team.
City.
Yeah, Oklahoma City.
A lot of guys. Yeah.
So
the only drawback that you would say is like they've never done it. It's all that experience, the first time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like I said, they're gonna smoke Memphis. 4 or 5, whatever it's gonna be, and then they're gonna put their feet up for a week and wait for the Clippers in Denver to beat the hell out of each other.
Yeah.
And then they're going to get to play them. So it's probably set up poorly for the Clippers in the long run. But like I said,
anytime you're a 5th seed like this, so it's always going to be tough.
And listen, anytime, like, again, if Kawhi plays 2 days from now, the game is Thursday night. If Kawhi plays in that game, it will be the most playoff games he's played since 2021.
Yeah.
Do you want to know? I think I've said this on the show before. The last time the Clippers won a playoff series was?
I have no idea.
Bubble.
The bubble.
2020, first round.
Jesus Christ.
You know what happened in the second round of the bubble?
Was that when Kawhi got injured?
Well, no. He finished. That was the last series he finished, actually. We went up 3-1 and then lost 3 straight. Third time that had happened to Doc Rivers in his career. Do you know who we played in that series?
I can't even remember, actually.
Denver was who we played in that series.
Oh, and then I do remember.
And then Denver lost to the Lakers, and the Lakers beat the Heat in the championship. Doesn't count. Fake championship. Never did. Didn't happen. Yeah. So that's that. Other entertaining series. Knicks Pistons is fairly entertaining. I don't think either team's actually good, but it's close.
That's the only thing. I was watching the first game the other night. I was like, yeah, it's like close.
You want to talk?
A lot of misses.
You know, else needs to go to
turnovers.
A lot of Jalen Brunson flops. He's like up there with like Trae Young, Chris Paul at times of like, this is impossible to watch. This is just so foul baity. I never want to hear about how fucking tough the Knicks are again. Any team that's got Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns on it, you don't get to claim that you're tough.
Oh, absolutely.
You don't get to claim that you're tough. I don't care how many fucking goombots from New York are out there being like, you're a soft team. And this is why it's hard to cheer for the Knicks too, because I thought about this. It's the same reason, like, people are like, oh, I feel bad for Mavericks fans, and you shouldn't feel bad for Mavericks fan because every Mavericks fan is a Cowboys fan, and fuck those guys. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's very hard to cheer to want good things from the Knicks because I know all those Knicks fans are Yankees fans.
Yeah,
and it's like, fuck those people. So not really in on the Knicks. I will say their coach Tom Thibodeau.
Yeah.
Big fan.
Always been a dog, yeah.
Right. Always has been a dog. Here's what I love about Tom Thibodeau. So always been like the hard ass. We're playing defense and I'm playing my starters fucking 42 minutes a game. And if you'd like water, drink your spit, like that kind of stuff, right? And so that obviously that works to a certain extent. but it's burned out everywhere. Burned out in Chicago. A lot of people blame him for the Derrick Rose stuff. Luol Deng blames him for shortening his career, so that all flamed out there. Then he goes to Minnesota. Obviously, that didn't work.
Yeah, Butler was pissed about that. He was outspoken about
the whole
that.
right, blow up, blah, blah, blah. And then so when he left Minnesota, what I guess Tom Thibodeau did was he went out and he went to all the best coaches in the world and all the young up-and-coming coaches and got a ton of input on, like, okay, like, what do I need to do to change? Like, how can I be different? And then his takeaway from all of that, as he's now coach of the Knicks, is I'm not changing a fucking thing. That's so sick to go get all this input from all these experts, all these accomplished people, and then come to the conclusion of, nah, I'm fucking wrong.
I was actually right the whole time.
I'm doing it my way. Fuck these people. Which is, listen, and anybody who commits to a comb over that hard for that long, to just look people straight in the face, like, I'm not bald. She's got 3 strands of hair over his fucking. He's like, what? No, I have hair up there now. Like, unbelievable. And I do appreciate that they're going to go out. They're probably going to beat the Pistons, I would imagine. They will have to play the Celtics in the next round. So that's another one where it feels like these guys are just getting served up for a slaughter because they're going to beat again. The Pistons. They might not win the game, but they're going to win the fight. Yeah. And then to have to go that and then play the Celtics is just yeah, that's a death sentence there. What's the last one? Milwaukee, Indiana.
Yeah.
I was funny. I did see today. So they did. You know how every year they do like an NFL player survey of like who's got the best plane and what coach is a fucking dickhead and all that stuff's all nonsense. They're doing the NBA this year, and I think it was like some crazy high percentage, somewhere in the 40s. Said Tyrese Halliburton's the most overrated player in the NBA, which is interesting.
What aspect? What do they mean by that?
This is the most overrated player in the NBA. They think like what people like the NBA players think that like what the media and the fans think of Tyrese Halliburton is not what he actually is. They just think he's like wildly overrated. Okay. So I thought that was interesting. That's pretty much the only interesting thing I have on the Pacers. There are like heavy honest rumblings for this summer because it doesn't seem like it's going to, no matter what, right? They win the series, they lose the series. It doesn't look like they're really going anywhere.
That team feels like it's close to a rebuild. They got rid of Middleton. Right. I mean, honestly, the Jrue and like Dame sort of swap thing there. Right. I don't think that was a good thing for the dynamic of the team.
Right.
And obviously Lillard being out, that's hindsight.
I think but that's something that do because like from what I understand, Giannis is very, very concerned with like personal accolades and personal sort of achievements, I guess. And so one of the things that's pissed him off in the last little bit is Luca has jumped to the top of jersey sales. And he's basically sitting there going, yo, the only thing that's different is this dude plays for the Lakers now. Right? He's not better than me. He's not, nothing changes. He plays in a big market. And there's a lot of rumblings that Giannis would like to go play in a big market. So whether that's the Knicks or whether that's Miami or maybe Brooklyn, something like that. There's a very small list of teams, but it seems like, there's some rumblings going on with Giannis this summer. And so I think if they were to lose in this first round, I think that makes that like pretty much a certainty that he's gone. And even again, it's one of those things where even if they get through this, I don't think they're going to beat Cleveland. And then you're Giannis and you're sitting there being like, all right, we just lost in the second round and the second best player on this team is 34 years old and just had a fucking blood clot.
Yeah.
So where does that leave him? So that, like I said, I think that's all. I think we're setting up for a very, very like what NBA fans love about the NBA is just like when stars are available. And so I think we're heading into an offseason where Kevin Durant is like certainly getting traded. That's like, it seems guaranteed.
Yeah. I mean, the offseason is always crazy in the NBA now. So like, you're definitely going to see superstars move around.
We're talking about like Kevin Durant, who is like at worst a top 15 player of all time. And then Giannis, who is one of the 3 best players in the world right now, both getting traded, which would end up being, they'd be traded 6 months after Luca got traded.
Yeah.
Right. And I think maybe that made it more palatable for everyone. It's like, well, if he can get traded, anybody can get traded.
Yeah.
Like every fan base is now a little bit more primed for your superstar getting traded because we just saw it happen. So, I think overall kind of a boring first round, I would say. Like Clippers Nuggets is the only exciting series.
We talked about this, but it's like it was shaping up to be that way in the sense of like the West is like wide open.
The West should be good. Oh, that's the other one we talk about. Golden State and Houston.
Yeah,
that actually I think is my favorite series because that's just like, what that feels like? You ever, when you were like teenager, 15, 16, so whatever, you ever like try to fight your dad?
Yeah.
And then you get the lesson of like, oh, what a grown man strength is like. Yeah. I feel like Houston's trying to fight their dad right now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
They, they were like, hey, look, we're younger and we're faster and we're stronger and they're fucking old men out here and be tired. We're gonna beat these guys' ass. And they realized that it's like, yeah, that might all be true. But one of the things that's important anytime you're in a confrontation with somebody is who's willing to put up with more pain.
Sure.
And it really seems like dad strength warriors are just like, yeah, all that's true. We're gonna beat the hell out of you.
Yeah, that one's a fun one too because that's like playoff basketball. You got two defensive dogs on both these teams right now. Like they're like I think Rocks were like top 4 in the league, top 5 in the league of defense, and then Golden State is back to that. Like,
what was the score in the first game? Like 92-85 or something?
95-84, something like that.
Looked like a game out of the 90s.
That's what that series is going to be like. So that's going to be a fun one to watch because it's going to be a lot of just grinding. And you're right, like it's like who has the experience here? Who can who's done it? Yeah, exactly. You have like Steph who's done it obviously, and then you also have Butler who's been on a lot of runs in the playoffs and kind of did it by himself before. Now that he can be that like true just complement player, like that is a scary ass.
Well, that's what I'm saying, right? And so now they're the Rockets are the 16-year-old on the front lawn calling their dad a bitch, and be like, he's not going to do anything. It's like, I think he's going to beat your ass in front of the whole neighborhood here, right? And it's like, like 10 years from now, when you're 26 and he's 56, you're going to be able to do this. We're not quite there yet, Junior. Although I will say, there's a high propensity of like of psychos in that series because like Draymond's out of his mind. Jimmy can very clearly lose it at any moment. Houston has Dylan Brooks, who is I know people who know him because he's from Mississauga, I think or Brampton. I know people that know him, and they say your guy absolute loose cannon. And then their coach Ime Udoka is, first of all, this guy. I love the way he coaches. He like yells his players. He's gotten into it with LeBron. He's gotten into it with Steph Curry. Like he does not care about that. And he got fired. He got fired from the Celtics for getting too much pussy, which is that's
tough.
Pretty funny.
Tough to hate a guy like that.
Yeah, they're like, listen, and Ime's a good coach. He was one coach either. They're like, Ime, listen, you coach a hell of a basketball team. You simply get too much pussy. Like we can't have it. Like.
Yeah, didn't he? Wasn't he fucking
somebody on the team? Somebody worked. Yeah, probably somebody's wife. Yeah. The rumors were that it was the wife of a guy who had ownership stake in the
exactly.
team.
Yeah.
Which again, that's the definition of listen. It's simply too much pussy you're getting here. Yeah. We have to put a stop to it.
Yeah. Team's great. Team looks great.
Which is that's great. So I think. If we could end up, although that I kind of count because if the Lakers and Warriors would have won, then we would get LeBron and Steph in the second round, which would be that's going to hit all the nostalgia buttons.
It kind of sucks because it's so early. It's like I want to see that in the finals. But you're going to get
it's not though. Well, it is early, but it's like it's almost like hey, it's the nostalgia, right? People our age, people a little bit older. It's like hey, remember 2016? Life was better then, wasn't it? So it's gonna hit that. It's gonna, it'd be very emotional type series because two all-time greats with like very obviously their careers are like intertwined and linked in specific ways. So that would be interesting. But I also think Ant against the Warriors would be interesting.
The Wolves are fun against any team. It's just the weight of the Wolves winning doesn't quite happen. But Ant's fun. You're right. Ant is fun against any team. Yeah. But there's just not enough. There's not enough for me. There's not enough of a story afterwards.
Yeah. And let's be honest. Like, if the Wolves think they're getting any calls tonight, they're out of their fucking mind.
Nothing. No.
Yeah. In LA, Luca and LeBron. Lakers need a win.
I really think the Lakers are going to come out and like stomp them tonight.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean,
you can't go down 0-2.
Anytime you've got the team at home going down 0-2 at home, obviously they're going to come out with a little bit more urgency. You would expect Luca to kind of take some things personally. You would certainly, but that's going to be interesting dynamic, right? If like thing that and there's a book that just came out written by Tim McMahon who. Was covered Dallas sports for a long, long time. And it's a book about Luca. And he wrote the book. I think the book was either done or like almost done before he got traded. So this book was written not with the intention of, exposing what happened after the trade. But in the book, the themes that the Mavericks are talking about all the time of like, this dude does not play defense. And this dude is out of shape all the time. And we have to lie to cover for his ass and all that stuff. All of that's in the book. So all that's very true and was happening. And there was definite belief within the Mavericks organization that if that didn't change, they were never going to be able to win a championship. And so if if Luca's doing the whole complain to the refs, don't guard anybody, take a million fouls, yell at your bench for you taking fouls, all that stuff that he was doing in Dallas, what's LeBron's reaction to that, right? Because again, LeBron's in the situation where he's like, okay, like it's his. I'm supposed to be taking the back seat now, I guess. Like it's his team now. No. But is LeBron going to tolerate that?
That's what I mean. He's still the guy. This is still LeBron's team. He's not going to do that. But I think he won't step out of line.
But does Luca think it's LeBron's team?
I think you can see it in the the proof's in the pudding, in the sense of like he hasn't been doing that. Like he hasn't been his old Luca self.
No, he has been.
Dude, he's been in the gym. He's been working. He's been fucking playing, dude.
He's been bitching at the refs and flopping. And last
game was still a lot of bitching. That is not normal.
Maybe he's
Luca
doing
level.
all that. If they go down 0-2 at home, like does
it changes.
Yeah,
yes.
Does LeBron then like wrestle control back and be like, listen, you fucking bitch, like let me show you how to win championships?
What I'm saying is I think he has control of that, in the sense of like it's a good understanding of like, hey Luca, this is still like we don't do that.
But what's
shit
Luca's
here.
response to that? Because they tried that in Dallas. They tried telling him, hey man, you can't fucking.
But he doesn't have LeBron in Dallas.
Right. So well, that's the thing.
Well, he's got LeBron and Lakers to tell him.
So does he listen? So do you think he respects LeBron?
I think he does tonight, and if they lose, you're right. We'll see. We're on Luca watch after that. But tonight,
I just think it could be a very big like. The thing that people say about Luca is like the ego's crazy, and like he doesn't take like his criticism, like his defense to the criticism is always, you're out of shape, you play. Is he's like, look how good I am, look how good I am, shut up, look how good I am, shut up. But LeBron, you can't really do that to LeBron. LeBron's like, you're not better than me, and you might be better right now. You know what I'm saying? Luca maybe you're right now,
I've done,
but he's like, you're not. I'm LeBron. Like you're not coming. And LeBron's whole thing, his whole career, hate him, like him, whatever you want, he is like the meticulous work he puts into like his body and being ready and the longevity of it all, right?
Yeah.
And so he would have, I would imagine, a very short tolerance for like lazy people.
Sure.
And you can criticize LeBron as much as you want to criticize. He's certainly not lazy.
Yeah.
Right? He's 40 years old and still playing at a very high level in the NBA. You can't do that if you're lazy. Right? He's the first, I put $1 million in my body every year, blah, 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 blah. So just that juxtaposition of like, those two guys and how they interact when things are bad is just I just think that's interesting. That would be very interesting to watch.
That's true. That's what I mean. It hasn't gotten bad yet. And
if they lose tonight. If they lose tonight.
All
right, we'll talk about we'll revisit that next
week. Sure.
Yeah, I think by this time next week, I think most series will be done, or at least close. At least close to.
So we'll be on like game 4 or 5 of the Lakers by next week. We're on game 2 tonight.
Well, because there's different like in the Clippers series, for example, they don't play tomorrow. They have 2 days off.
Yeah.
So they play Thursday, then they play Saturday. Then they play so game 6 would be Tuesday for the Clippers. So like anyway, the series will be far along. We'll have more to talk about there, but I think overall I would say a mildly entertaining first round, but with entertaining implications for lots of what happens with the Bucks, what happens with the Warriors, what happens with the Lakers, what happens with the Nuggets if they lose. Like the games themselves may not be interesting, but I think we're looking at really good series, at least in the West next series, and like good storylines from the losers.
Yeah.
Like whoever loses in the West of those series, whether Clippers, Nuggets, whether it's Rockets, Warriors, whether it's Wolves, Lakers, somebody's going to be pissed they lost in the first round.
Yeah.
Where in the East, it's going to be like, if you're the Pistons, you're like, yeah, whatever.
Not even playoffs. That's already a win for them.
Right. Yeah. You know, it was funny. So I guess last night the Pistons beat the Knicks. And the Pistons tweeted out like, whatever that they won or whatever. And that's the first playoff win tweet by the Pistons ever. Because the last time they won a playoff game, Twitter didn't exist.
Yeah, of course.
Twitter was invented in
What was that? That was like Tayshaun Prince,
I think
and the Wallace brothers.
I think 07 and Twitter was invented in 08 or 09.
That's so funny.
That's crazy.
They've been waiting.
It's 2025.
Their social media managers just sounding the alarm.
Because I think they made the playoffs with like maybe the Blake Griffin year when they had Andre Drummond and stuff, but they got swept. They didn't win a game. Mm-hmm. So they haven't actually won a playoff game. Another little fun milestone that happened yesterday it's on my mind. Ben Simmons scored last night, which is the first time he scored in the playoffs since the last game with Philly. The one where he had the open layup and passed out of it.
Yeah.
So since that game, he hadn't scored in the playoffs until last night.
Jesus, man.
Yeah.
Yes, a lot of milestones. That's good.
Yeah. So a lot of history going on there. All right, that's the NBA talk. We'll be back in a second. We're gonna do some quick NBA draft stuff. So it's NFL draft week. Today, like I said, Tuesday, the NFL draft. First round is Thursday. The second and third round are Friday. And then the 4th through 7th round are Saturday. So The NFL draft is really the first. First of all, I love the NFL draft. I've always loved the NFL draft. I was a 10-year-old, 11-year-old kid reading scouting reports and shit. Like, that's where really my first introduction to, like, true, like, nerd football shit was the draft. And it used to be that it was 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. The first round through the third round was Saturday, 4th through 7th was Sunday. This was the first time that the NFL really started to put in their plan of like how they want to be a news, just dominate as much of the news cycle as you possibly can, be a 12-month sport, all that stuff. And so that's when they started putting the first round in prime time, Thursday night, Friday night, second round, just to have literally stretch it out over more time, be in prime time. It used to start at like 11 a.m. Mm-hmm. And it used to only be in New York at Radio City Music Hall. And has since now it moves every year. Like last year it was in Vegas. This year it's in Green Bay. It's been in Nashville before. That I don't like. I wish it was still at Radio City Music Hall, just because that's just history. That's just where the NFL draft was since the 60s. Every great player had been drafted in Radio City Music Hall, and now we're doing it in fucking Green Bay because the NFL wants to make more money. So that I'm against. But overall, I'm a big fan of the draft. I've always loved the draft. This is a very, very different draft for your boy because the Tennessee Titans have the number 1 overall pick. This has obviously been the case for a very long time. I haven't talked about it until now. Good reason for that. So when you're dealing with draft stuff, you have to understand that everybody's lying, right? And so from when the NFL draft process starts, which is pretty much like the divisional round of the playoffs, up until this week, you can't believe anything you hear because teams are lying and they're using the media to lie, because it's essentially a big game of poker. You don't want everybody else to know what cards you're holding, what you're thinking about doing, because you want to try to put yourself in the best position possible. And so we see this with the Titans. So when the season ended, the narrative, all right, what are the draft narratives? All right, well, the draft narratives are that it's not a very top-heavy draft. It's more of a deep draft without a lot of potential stars, and the quarterback class is bad, right? Not a lot of great quarterbacks in the class. And so the Titans come out, and the first rumors are that they're going to take Abdul Carter, the defensive end from Penn State, him and Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter? Yeah. They're viewed as kind of the 2 best players in the draft. And so that goes for a little bit. And then the combine happens and starts to come out of that the Titans actually really love Cam Ward, the quarterback from Miami. It might be him, but you don't know if that's true or not, because if you're the Titans and you want to trade the first pick to somebody who wants a quarterback, you have to convince them that you might take the quarterback, even if you don't want the quarterback. Oh, yeah. Because they're not going to trade with you, right? If I'm the Giants at 3, why am I trading for you if I don't think you're going to take him? I'll just sit here and wait for him, right? And so you've got to do that. You got to kind of lie a little bit so we don't know what's true, It's come out this week. It's all but confirmed the Titans are taking Cam Ward. It actually got reported a couple days. I think Schefter reported it yesterday or whatever. That the Titans were not trading the pick. They decided they're not trading the pick, and they're sticking and they're picking their guy. And almost certainly it's going to be Cam Ward. The Titans, like their GM, their head coach, everything, did a press conference today and basically confirmed that report. They didn't say they're taking Cam Ward, but they said, don't call us to try to trade for the first pick at this point. We're not doing it. I think they would have traded that pick. The price just never got high enough. Yeah. Right? They wanted multiple first rounds out of it and all that, and just nobody was going to do that. And so now they're going to say, all right, well, we're going to stick here and we're going to pick our quarterback at number 1. We're going to take Cam Ward. So where does that leave me as a Titans fan? Well, I'll tell you where it leaves me. So in my lifetime, the Tennessee Titans, and in their franchise history, because my lifetime and their franchise history line up pretty closely. The Tennessee Titans have selected 3 quarterbacks in the first round. They are 0 for 3. It was Vince Young, it was Jake Locker, it was Marcus Mariota. Sorry. Yeah, 3. Yeah, because Levis was a second-round pick. So 3 quarterbacks in the first round. Vince Young, Jake Locker, Marcus Mariota. Not good. Picking a quarterback in the first round is a 50-50 proposition across the board. People have done it. People have looked at the numbers. They've gone through the history of it all. Take quarterback in the first round, you have a 50-50 chance that he's going to be good. You have a 50-50 chance that he's going to be Paxton Lynch. You ever heard of Paxton Lynch?
No.
Didn't think so.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, a lot of people know Paxton Lynch. A lot of people know. First round by the Broncos. So that immediately, so you take that. You take it's a 50-50 proposition at best, right? And it goes, well, why is it 50-50? Bunch of reasons. First reason is we don't know what makes a good quarterback in the NFL. Like, it's just, and that's proven out through through the numbers that we just don't know. We can't isolate singular traits and say if he's got this, and this, that means he's going to be good. If he's got this, and this, that means he's going to stink. It just doesn't work. It becomes very situation dependent, right? We see this with a guy like Trevor Lawrence, right? Trevor Lawrence got drafted as the Messiah. Since he was 13 years old, Trevor Lawrence was supposed to be the number 1 overall pick and became that. He's gotten in the NFL. The career's been underwhelming. Is it underwhelming because we were wrong about who Trevor Lawrence was for like 8 years, or did he just get drafted by the Jags?
Yeah, sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Probably more that one.
I would say so, yeah.
Probably, and you see this with different guys, right? Marcus Mariota. I still, to this day, believe that Marcus Mariota could have been a very good quarterback in the NFL, and the Titans ruined him.
Yeah.
He got drafted to the Titans. Ken Wisenhunt is the coach when he first gets there. He gets replaced by Mike Mularkey. And he gets replaced by Mike Vrabel, who doesn't like Marcus Mariota, right? He had 3 head coaches in his time with the Titans. He had 4 offensive coordinators. So every single year he was learning a new offense. Not conducive for a quarterback to develop in the NFL. Mm-hmm. You need consistency and structure and stability around the guy, and you build him up like that, right? You look at like how the Eagles do it with like a guy like, they had Carson Wentz, and they built around him, and he was very good. And then as soon as his mentally kind of went in the shitter a little bit, they had Jalen Hurts. Everybody was like, you drafted Jalen Hurts in the 2nd round? That's crazy. They built to his strengths. They built around him. And whatever you think about Jalen Hurts, he was good enough for them to win a Super Bowl with.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's just the difference of, if Jalen Hurts goes to the Jags, I don't think Jalen Hurts has the career that he's currently had. I think if Trevor Lawrence is on the Eagles, they'd probably still win the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, 50-50 proposition. Depends on what situation you go to. The Titans have a proven track record of being a place you don't want to go.
Yeah.
So my expectations, just my overall, and this has nothing to do with the player. We'll talk about Cam Ward, the player, in a minute. But just having been in this for 20 plus years, know this organization inside and out, know how these things go, I am fully expecting this not to work.
It's hard to think it would in the
right.
sense of like,
what
do they have going on for them already?
Well,
right?
listen, and so, all right, so I'll try to steel man the argument.
Yeah.
So you can make the case that the Titans actually don't have a terrible situation on paper for a rookie quarterback to be stepping into. They've spent a ton of resources through the draft, past few years, and free agency this year on the offensive line. They have what is thought to be the best offensive line coach alive today in Bill Callahan. He is the father of our head coach, Brian Callahan. That's good. The receiving room is thin. Calvin Ridley is. Oh, before we get into this was we're talking about it's becoming official that Titans are going to take Cam Ward. He was doing I believe it was a Twitch stream last week. And he's taking questions from the chat. And so they asked him, who are the best running backs in the NFL? He said Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears. And then they asked him who the best receivers are in the NFL. He said Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Calvin Ridley, and Treylon Burks.
You just kind of threw Burks in there, eh?
Well, because he knows he's going to the Titans,
that's what I mean.
right?
Yeah,
he's been funny guy.
No, yeah.
So, right, the defense is got pieces. The secondary's good. The D-line's good. They hit on a couple draft picks last year on the defense. So you could, as far as teams drafting number 1 overall, you could make a case that the Titans are a decent situation for him to go to. Brian Callahan, the head coach, he coached Burrow during his rookie year and the 2 or 3 years after that. Obviously successful there. He's coached Peyton Manning before. Like, he has a history of working with quarterbacks and making it turn out well. You don't argue all that. That's all well and good. The Jay-Z corollary does apply here of you are who you are before you got here. And the Titans are the Titans, and again, it just never works. It never has. Fitz Young, Jake Locker. Jake Locker was so fucking bad, he never played football again. Like, he played 3 years for the Titans. The Titans are like, hey, we're probably not going to extend you, and he's like, buddy, I'm retiring. Like, I wouldn't even worry about it.
Had enough of this. Yeah,
truly, that's what happened.
Yeah.
The only time the Titans have hit on a draft pick was Steve McNair, R.I.P. But he was drafted by the Houston Oilers.
I was wondering where he got drafted from.
Which is the same franchise, but it's not. Mm-hmm. Steve McNair, and then the Ryan Tannehill free agent signing.
Yes,
those are the two.
And the Ryan that barely counts. Sorry, not
they drafted. They drafted.
It's not a draft.
They drafted second best quarterback in franchise history. Yeah. That's where we're at. Ryan Tannehill, second best quarterback in franchise history. 3 picks in a playoff game to cost the best Titans team of my life a chance to go to the AFC Championship game. That's the second best in franchise history. So that's where we're at with that. All right. That being said, I will cheer for Cam Ward. I will until he wrongs me. I will defend his honor and I will go to war for him because he didn't. It's not his fault. It's the team's fault, right? Listen, I'm like the guy who's been in prison 25 years, and we get the new guy in, and it's like, well, I'm going to show him the ropes. I'm going to teach him how to survive in this life, you know.
So I like how you're a good man in prison in this situation. You're like, I know, I've been here.
Well, I've been listen, like I'm the warden's dicks. I've been suffering for a long time. I'm going to try to help you get through the suffering here, because where I can't go anywhere. If I could get out, man, I would get out. Yeah. If I could leave, I would leave, bro. It's a life sentence. What do you want me to do?
Yeah.
I'm stuck. So I might as well root for the kid. And, listen, you want to talk about a very unique guy. So Cam Ward, very interesting. So most quarterbacks who draft in the first round, we'll use Trevor Lawrence as an example. They are molded from the time they are like 7 or 8 years old. They grew up in Atlanta. They grew up in Texas. They grew up in California. So he just dropped from California. Florida occasionally. And they are molded into these NFL quarterbacks. They are work with quarterback coaches from a very young age. They go to specific high schools who run specific systems. They go to specific colleges that run specific systems, all to put them in the NFL. Cam Ward is the 100% complete opposite of that. He's from a place called West Columbia, Texas, which is like kind of Houston-ish area. He was a 0-star recruit coming out of high school. He threw the ball in high school 12 times per game. He played at a high school that ran the wing T offense, essentially what like Army and Navy run, where you run the ball like 45 times a game, you throw it like 12 times. So because of that, he had 0 scholarship offers coming out of high school. He went and walked on at a school called Incarnate Word, which is like a private Christian university in Texas. Played there. First year was COVID, 2020, so didn't play at all. 2021, he plays, absolutely goes ape shit, but it's Incarnate Word, nobody cares. His offensive coordinator goes to Washington State, and this is right at the same time as like the transfer portal first starts to pop off. And so he goes, shit, I'm going to go to Washington State with the offensive coordinator. Goes to Washington State for 2 years, absolutely balls out. And people are like, oh, that's pretty good, but it's Washington State. His last year in college, he goes to Miami and becomes the best quarterback in college football. Absolutely tore it up, was a Heisman finalist, did not win the Heisman, but a Heisman finalist. And played in an offense that catered to him fully. And so it just took off. So the development arc of this guy is 5 years ago, he was a 0-star recruit walking on Incarnate Word, coming out of a wing T offense. And within 5 years, he's broken a whole bunch of records and is now the consensus number 1 overall pick in a way that we haven't seen. And that truly, like, this is what it was when like Andrew Luck was in the draft. Yeah. Of like, he's definitely the first pick. Like the certainty with which Cam Ward has become the first overall pick is not common. There's almost always, up until draft day, at least some lies going on about what direction it might go. Nobody's even lying anymore. Yeah. So that's very interesting to me. It makes me interesting from a what he is on the field standpoint. This is where you end up getting hurt, because the comp for him, play style wise, like when you watch him play, it's Mahomes. Mm-hmm. That's where you start getting hurt, right? Because you start reading the articles and you start seeing the tweets of him, and it's Mahomes, and it's him, and it's Mahomes, and you start putting that connection in your brain of like, holy fuck, we're drafting Patrick Mahomes. Holy shit, we're drafting Patrick Mahomes. And that's how, again, I've been here a long time, been locked up in this Titans life a long, long time. That's how I'm letting the young guys do that. That's how there's a bunch of 13, 14-year-olds out there that are going to get their heart broken because they think we're drafting Mahomes. He does look like Mahomes when he plays. He does it's kind of the like he's not a great athlete, but he's a good athlete. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have a crazy strong arm, but he's got a good arm, and he's got all like the improvisational off platform, like crazy arm slots, side arms. Sometimes it looks like he's below a sidearm, like submarine. Total trust in his athleticism. Like, how Mahomes does the thing where Mahomes always is running just as fast as he needs to run. Yeah. And it's always again, he's not a great athlete, but if there's 12 yards in front of him, he's going to take the 12 yards. He even does this shit, and it's going to drive me fucking mental. He even does the Mahomes shit where he slows down as he's getting to the sidelines because he's trying to draw the 15-yard penalty. It's very clearly a guy, and we'll continue this, a guy who grew up watching Patrick Mahomes, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's all well and good, and that's interesting. And that's, do I think he's going to be Patrick Mahomes? No, I don't. Again, we've gone over the stats. Odds are he is not very good at all. I think best case scenario, if it all works out, is he's like a top 10 quarterback in the league, I think is probably like best case scenario. Like he's in like the like Dak-ish.
Sure.
Like in and around the Dak range of things, which is like, again, like people complain, but if you get Dak, like that would be,
if you get that, still a franchise level quarterback.
It would be the best quarterback I've ever seen the Titans play. Who ever seen play for the Titans, because I missed Steve McNair's prime. I was like 5 when he was really ripping. Mm-hmm. So it would be, of my like adult life, he would be easily the best quarterback that they've ever had. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at with Cam Ward, where it's like I've been here before with the Titans. We have actually never drafted a quarterback first overall. We did have the first overall pick once where a quarterback was taken, but we traded it. Can you guess who was the quarterback was taken?
No.
It was okay. So I'll give you the year. It was 2016.
2016. No, I wouldn't be able to.
When Mr. Jared Goff was the number 1 overall pick, we traded the pick to the Rams.
You know what? Who'd they get back for that?
A bunch. We got a bunch of picks back. One of the picks ended up becoming Derrick Henry.
Yeah, you won that trade.
Maybe.
You want to have
Jared, I mean, Jared Goff went to a Super Bowl.
Jared Goff also played on some great teams to get to that Super Bowl, though. Like,
yeah, but the situation, right? If you drop out of the Titans, you're fucking probably out of the league.
So it's like, it wouldn't
right, but it's like, but as I'm saying, it's like we didn't win the trade because no matter what we did there, like if we drafted Joe Burrow would suck.
Sure. Yeah, you're right.
You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter, right? So that's kind of where we're at. In terms of the rest of the draft, gonna be boring, I think. It's just not a quarterback heavy draft, so we're not going to see a ton of quarterbacks go at the top. I think the most interesting. So the Titans are staying at number 1. There's been some rumors that the Browns and the Giants at 2 and 3 might be looking to make a trade. I think what's most likely there is the Browns take Travis Hunter at 2, Giants take Abdul Carter at 3. Little interesting thing with Travis Hunter this week is it sounds like he's going to play receiver mostly. Mm-hmm. Right, he played both ways in college.
I think we were talking about that too, where it's like the Browns might just let him do whatever he wants, though, too, because it's fun.
Right, but that's the thing is if you ask him what do you want, he's going to say receiver.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the top 5 receiver contracts versus the top 5 corner contracts, receivers are making about $10 million more a year.
Yeah. No,
so he's going to play receiver.
Yeah.
He's going to play receiver. So I think that's somewhat interesting if we get some trades there. Speaking of Travis, the one storyline I'll be interested in Thursday night to watch, and just to see how it all plays out because there's egos involved, is Shedeur Sanders. So you know Shedeur is Deion's kid, right? So people thought Shedeur was going to be the number a year ago. Like this time last year, people thought Shedeur.
That's what you were talking about.
Shedeur was going to be the number 1 overall pick, and then it was like, all right, well it's going to be him or Cam Ward. And I was like, all right, well it's going to be Cam, but like Shedeur's going to go at 3 to the Giants. And then all of a sudden, it comes out that Shedeur's not going to the draft. Like normally, anybody who's getting drafted in like the top 15, top 20 picks, they go to the draft, and you do that. You walk out on stage and you do the thing, right? Inevitably, what happens has happened to Will Levis. Right? Will Levis showed up for the draft last year, didn't go at all in the first round, so you just sit there the whole night.
Yeah.
In the green room with a camera on your fucking face, as you just have like the worst night of your life. It's miserable. And Shedeur has announced that he is not going to the draft, and it is reasonable to assume that is because he does not know where he's getting drafted, and it is bad for the brand if he's sitting there with fucking $300,000 of chains on in the green room till 9 o'clock at night while everybody else gets drafted.
Why is the stock drop so much?
Well, I think it's there's nothing he does that's special. Mm-hmm. There's nothing he's true he's not a good athlete. He's a fine athlete. He doesn't have a great arm. He's got a good arm. He doesn't have like the improv. Like he can't create out of structure the way Cam Ward can. So Cam Ward, if the play doesn't go the way the play's supposed to go, Cam Ward has shown the ability to make something happen for you. Now he's also shown the ability to, if the play doesn't go the way it's supposed to go, he tries to make something happen. Something fucking disastrous happens. I give him a pass there. It's actually very similar, again, to Mahomes and what Mahomes was. That was the criticism of Mahomes coming out. Was like, this guy's reckless with the ball. He's going to turn it over a million times. He tries to do a bunch of shit he can't do. What ended up being true with Mahomes, and what I think is true with Cam Ward, is Mahomes' defense in college was so fucking bad. Like, they were giving up like 50 a game that he knew. He's like, I have to try to score every single time I have the ball. Yeah. Otherwise, we're not going to win. And that makes you do some crazy shit. Cam Ward, very similar. Like, they lost to Syracuse last year. Miami did. I believe the score in that game was 55-52.
Yeah.
So it's like when you're in that kind of game, it's like you can't, every punt is a turnover, right? It's a touchdown the other way. So you have to just try shit. So give him a little bit of pass there. But Shedeur just doesn't have that. Shedeur's like his best trait, the thing that people like the most about him is he is that guy that was bred to be, I mean, he's Deion Sanders' fucking kid. He was bred to be a starting quarterback in the NFL since he was a little kid. So his understanding of the game and his ability to play in timing and in rhythm is very, very good. But when you don't have the physical skills to complement that, you end up with, best case, Kirk Cousins.
Sure.
Right? You end up in that, right? When people see Shedeur Sanders and they think Deion Sanders' kid. When they see Shedeur Sanders, what they should actually think is JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, tough.
Of like, he's going to have to live off play action. He's going to have to live in structure. If things don't go right, he's not going to create anything for you. And so that's just not a guy that you're going to take in the top 10 picks.
Do you think it's also like, I mean, like if he's not spectacular and then you have the attention of his dad being there the whole time,
I think it's part of it
like,
too. Yeah.
Part of it,
yeah, right. If like, if he doesn't play well, his dad's going to start motherfucking the coach on national media.
Yeah.
That's going to be an issue. Yeah. And honestly, if you're the head coach, you're like, yo, is his dad going to try to get my job next year?
Very true. Yeah.
Right. There's all that.
Yeah.
And so when you look at the draft, and this is what happens too with quarterbacks is there's always a certain threshold where if you don't get taken, you're now going to fall like crazy because there's no teams that have quarterbacks, teams that are drafting, from 12 through 30 generally have a quarterback.
Yeah.
Or at least they just drafted a rookie that they're not giving up on yet. They're not looking for a quarterback. So the last team picking in the first round that you would say needs a quarterback right now is the Saints at 9.
Yeah.
If he falls past that, it could be free-for-all territory into the end of the first round, into the second round, and I think that's why he's not going to the draft.
Yeah, sure.
Is he doesn't want to sit there on camera, be the meme, get killed on Twitter. That's just very against everything they stand for, especially when Travis is going to go fucking second. Mm-hmm. And I think that's at this point a real possibility. And also, what's very interesting for me, not very interesting, but just so Shedeur decided he's not going to the draft. Jalen Milroe, the quarterback from Alabama, is going to the draft. So there's a possibility, just based on what we're seeing, that Shedeur might not even be the second quarterback taken. He might be the third. And there's talk that some teams like Jackson Dart, the quarterback from Ole Miss, more than Shedeur. So now we could end up in a situation where maybe Shedeur should have fucking gone back to Colorado.
I was gonna say, do you think there's a chance also that like the way you're explaining, like there's like if you don't go in the first like 15 pick or like 10 picks even, it's like, well, that not a lot of people are looking for quarterbacks.
Yeah.
There's a chance like he just doesn't get drafted this year.
Oh, he'll get
like they're not
100%
looking
he'll
for
get
him,
drafted.
or is he just too?
It's not guaranteed he goes in the first round.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So Thursday night he may not get drafted. He will. What I would imagine is going to happen is if he falls past 9, he'll fall for a little while longer, and then you'll see somebody either trade back into the first round. So maybe the Saints get in at somewhere in the 20s. Trade next year's for whatever and get Shedeur. Or you'll see somebody like it won't be them because it's just not a culture fit, but somebody like the Steelers where it's like, hey, like we don't need a quarterback right now, but we could theoretically have like a young quote unquote development guy and then like an older veteran and start him.
Sure.
Right? Similar to what like the Falcons did last year, except they took Penix at 9.
Yeah.
Where they're end up there. So I think it'll end up being something like that. A team to just watch out for, which I just think would be a great story and just something to keep an eye on, would be the Cowboys. Because of the connection with Deion, obviously, right? And the Cowboys, they would love nothing more than to be associated with Deion again. Dak, obviously very expensive, getting older, and they could be like, oh, Dak's going to teach Shedeur kind of situation. I think, like, if I'm a Cowboys fan, I don't want that. If I work for the Cowboys, I don't want that. If I'm Dak, I don't want that. But just as an outside observer, I just love Cowboys chaos. I think that would be, because that's the story immediately. Every incompletion Dak throws, Deion's going to be popping his fucking face into Jerry Jones' office, being like, play the boy, right? And I think there maybe be a decent, because the fan base really does hate Dak too. Of like, as soon as the fan base's favorite player is always the backup quarterback, right? And so the backup quarterback, Shedeur, I think that could be interesting there. But it's going to be just like all these quarterbacks, and certainly a guy like Shedeur, it's all going to be dependent on where he gets drafted in terms of what he becomes in the league. If he ends up in a good spot, right, like Kirk Cousins, legend to the bank, because Kirk has been in really good situations everywhere he's gone. And so, maybe Deion can control that a little bit once it gets to the late end of the first, end of the second. He can start telling teams like, don't draft him, you should draft him, you shouldn't draft him, that kind of thing. That's kind of where we're at with it. We're gonna get a running back go high up in the draft for the first time in a long time. Ashton Genty, running back from Boise State, was a Heisman finalist as well. Unbelievable running back. Truly, like really good. Right, the debate you can have the debates about how valuable are running backs and should you draft them in the first round and stuff like that. And I think what we saw Saquon do and Derrick Henry and stuff, like we've seen a little bit of the renaissance of the running back.
Well, there's just a few guys though too are like anomalies to the rule, right? Like when you get that special talent, that special level of athleticism.
Yeah. But that's, you're just like, okay, then like if you're going to take Ashton Genty in the top 10, which it seems like that's going to happen, I'm like, all right, like he better be Saquon Barkley then.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like he better be able to impact a game on that level. I've seen the Raiders linked to him a lot, and you know, that's fine. It seems like a way that Raiders generally like to take like the ill-advised, like stud type, you know, like, you know, the Henry Ruggs and all these dudes where it's like, is he that good? And they're like, yo, he's fucking fast as shit.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So that's a very Raiders thing. Darius Hayward Bay, that kind of thing. But yeah, that's kind of it for the draft. We'll react to, hopefully, honestly, like since we can hope for like big trades and stuff. Like there's been some Dak trade rumors circling this offseason. There's Dak to the Titans was a thing for a minute.
What do you think about that one?
Would be against it. And I think Dak is underrated as a player, but just didn't like, okay, now we have a $60 million quarterback and a terrible roster. Where's this getting us?
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't be in for that. I'd rather roll the dice on Cam Ward, because at the very least, Cam Ward's going to be cheap for 4 years.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, so he's not going to cost us anything. So that's the draft stuff. That's where I'm at with it. We'll, like I said, if the Titans don't take Cam Ward or something crazy happens, we'll talk about it next week. But unless I think any other questions, anything you think we need to touch on there?
Say really just kind of like I think the most interesting. I didn't really understand where Shedeur kind of stood if he was going to drop like that. But yeah, if he
seems like it. Seems like it. Yeah, which is, like I said, that will be, and it sucks that he's not going, because that's great content.
I know.
If he's just sitting there in the green room, just sad. And Aaron Rodgers, this happened to when Aaron Rodgers went to the draft, didn't get picked until 23rd or whatever. He ended up getting picked.
Yeah. He was pissed when he got up there,
fun to hear. I'll give people a little fun thing to watch in the draft. There's always a good thing to watch. So anytime a player gets drafted, first of all, it becomes the trauma Olympics. Just count it. If you want to make a drink game out of this, you'll fucking die. Anytime a guy gets drafted and the first thing they do is just bring up like something bad that happened to him. It's like, yo, his dad's in jail, his brother got killed. It's just it's 256 picks of like, this is what's fucked up in this guy's life.
Yeah.
Like every time they do, it's crazy. So there's that. Another fun thing to watch in the draft process, I always enjoy. So anytime these guys get drafted, whether they're there in person or they're at home, there's going to be a camera on them. And they're going to be sitting there with their family. Everybody's going to be all around them. The most fun thing to watch in those moments is the interaction between the mom and the girlfriend. Especially if the girlfriend's white. Because there's so many times where, like, he gets drafted and the girl, who was it? I can't think of who it was. But there was one where it was like, and this happened a couple of times, like, the guy gets drafted and like the girlfriend goes in for the hug and the mom just like shoves that bitch out the way. Or like they'll be sitting next to each other and the mom just comes in and sits like right between them. Or like just all that stuff is very interesting to me. Very fun things to watch. There was, I can't remember who it was, but it might have been Will Levis. Where like when he was just miserable and his girlfriend was like trying to cheer her up and he just basically tells her like, shut up. Like very fun to watch, like the girlfriend interactions, especially with the mom. And sometimes even with the dad too. Sometimes the dad gets in there and, you know, cause it's always like, you know, who drove you to practice? Dad. Who, you know, who's at all your games? Dad. Who helped you get this far? Dad. Who do you think when you get drafted? Mom. You know, like, so it's like, you know, there's always that dynamic to it, which is interesting to watch. There's always like funny content that comes out of like the family home. Cause there's also ones where like the camera just goes to them at the wrong time, where it's like, they don't expect the camera to be there. And it's just people hang out in the living room, not knowing they're on national television. Yeah. They're just like on their phone.
I mean, George Pickens is obviously the most memorable one, I think, but yeah.
Right. So I think that was COVID. Actually, that was maybe like the worst draft, but I think the best draft might have been like the COVID one where Roger Goodell did it from his basement.
No, I don't. That was the 2020. I didn't watch the draft.
Who would? Yeah. It's a great Bill Burr joke about how he's like, I can't believe people watch the draft. You know, they're gonna print all the names tomorrow. So everybody's doing it at home. So they didn't have obviously they didn't have the live draft, and even like the team. like normally they call them the war rooms, and they go and it's all the coaches and everybody in like the team facility. The famous ones when not famous one to me, when the Titans traded AJ Brown on the draft 3 years ago now. They cut to the Titans war room, and it's just after the trade goes through, and it's just Mike Vrabel just standing up and fucking throwing papers. He's fucking pissed. But the best one, and you can look this up if you want to, is during the 2020 draft, they cut to the Patriots are on the clock, and they cut to there's what's supposed to be Bill Belichick in his house, and they cut to it, and it's just his dog sitting at the computer. Bill's not anywhere. He's fucking, I'm not doing this bullshit.
Yeah, he's just some 23-year-old
chick. Yeah, probably. And so that was a good one. There was why am I blanking on his name right now? Cliff Kingsbury. They showed him doing the draft from his house in 2020, and just the sickest I'm rich and single house ever. Like giant glass walls, huge fucking mansion, and it's just him and his laptop. It's like, oh yeah, that's like a guy's got so much money and nothing to spend it on.
Yeah, fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah, Cliff living the life there. So yeah, those are some fun things to watch in the draft. But yeah, we'll talk about it next week. We'll have some more NBA playoff stuff next week, and then we're gonna. After next week, we're gonna start getting into silly season here on the podcast. We're gonna do
run out of things to talk about.
Well, we're gonna line up. We're gonna start doing. I've got Tyler's team tournament is coming up. We're gonna narrow down.
Select a favorite team.
We're gonna go through where Tyler's gonna pick a favorite college football team for the rest of his life. It's gonna be a field of 16. Every week we're gonna do. I think we're gonna break it up into first round, second round, third round finals, kind of week through by week. And so how it'll work is I'll seed the teams 1 through 16. Obviously we'll do 1 versus 16, 2 versus all that stuff. I'll make the case for both, kind of pros and cons. We'll open it up for a Q&A, a question period. And then at the end of the episode, we'll decide winners and losers and who moves on to the next round.
I love that.
Going in with the understanding that whatever we decide at the end, it is a lifetime commitment. Yeah. It is a lifetime sentence. As I am in Titans hell for the rest of my life.
Sure.
Can't get out. Excited to have Cam Ward join me on the yard.
That's funny. You're trying to get some misery loves company here. You're just like, welcome to the war.
That's what fandom is. That's what fandom is.
Yeah, sure.
That's what fandom. You know what fandom is? Fandom is the Clippers ripping my heart out year after year after year for 4 straight years, and then last night being one of the best nights I've had in a long time. Like just immediately back in, immediately love these guys, and it's like, yeah, that's just what it is. And listen, they're probably gonna rip my heart out again, and that's what this life is a full emotional investment that's probably not gonna pay off.
Yeah,
that's what we're doing here. All right, that's it. That's the episode. Like, subscribe, rate, review. Check out Wanna Parlay. Hopefully bring you guys some new sponsors, some great ones in the coming future. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next week.
I bet my life, I'm a Diceshaker. Electric lights on a skyscraper.